How to imitate God. This has been a huge question on my mind. I've been sitting with it, I've been meditating on it, asking more questions that come from it, giving myself answers, talking to friends about it, talking to myself about it, looking within, letting my light shine about it. I have the best thoughts about it, the most clarity when actually in the morning, when I'm in that dream state and it's so clear and my conversations with God are so at the forefront of my consciousness. And the other day I actually decided to write down what I have been thinking about in those morning devotions, meditations. Usually happens when I'm still kind of asleep. I haven't really gotten up yet. I've been tending to go to sleep and then get up in the middle of the night or in the early morning to use the restroom or to just get up and just do something. And in trying to fall back asleep, haven't really been able to fall back asleep, but noticing myself having these really intimate conversations with God, really paying attention to the light that I feel. And they're so clear. Then what I find happens is that as I wake up more, I lose the memory of what I was really talking about. It's kind of like this little veil kind of comes down and I just forget because I'm not paying attention as much, as closely. I realize that I can pay closer attention during the day when I just take breaths and I breathe. And the other day, I had this urge while I was in one of these states in the early morning to write it down. I've actually had this urge many times, but I did the other day and actually wrote it down. And it was about how to imitate God. And there was other things about waiting as well. What is it to wait? Because that's been a huge thing for me too. Questioning, what is it to wait? What does it mean to wait? Am I waiting? How do I wait? And so what came to me is a kind of a list, I guess, of how to imitate God. And I wanted to just film a quick video about that. How to imitate God. From where I can see the truth. The truth that I can see right now. How to imitate God. To love unconditionally. And that's another thing that you can question and sit with. What does it mean to love unconditionally? But to imitate God, experiencing for yourself what it is to love unconditionally is that's important. To dream, to have a dream is another thing. What is it to dream? What is it to create my world? Where is there this, how does it, the spiritual world and the physical world, how do they come together? How to dream without striving. Without begging. Where does a dream come from? But in order to imitate God, a dream is part of that. So this is a really important part of how to imitate God. To have a dream. And to really, truly, deeply understand what that means. To have a will. To will. This is another thing. Without striving. How do I will something? without begging, without forcing. But to imitate God, I must learn how to will, how to command, to command. To imitate God is to command. Not command as in a forceful, do what I say way, but as in a leading, comforting, guiding command. This relentless will, and then being able to command it. This is knowing who you are. To imitate God is to know who you are, and to will, and to command, and to dream, and to love unconditionally. And it's to have faith. This is another thing that I've been exploring. What is the difference between faith and hope? And a friend of mine has some scriptural passages that she wanted to send me about it, and I'm excited to read them. Before having read them, though, my current thought process on faith and hope is that hope is something that I have when I am not totally sure, or when I am more unconscious of what's to come. When I am not aware of what's to come, I can have hope because I'm not familiar with what is to come, or I haven't maybe like pinned down this dream yet. Hope is to imitate God with maybe pieces of these things in my list. So maybe I'm ready to love unconditionally, and I hope, but I haven't solidified how to dream, how to will, how to command yet. But faith, when I understand and when I have faith, to me, when I'm saying faith, that feels like I know. And that's the deep knowing, when these pieces of how to imitate God have come together more. And to understand that is how to imitate God. So to work towards understanding, to have that be my heart's desire, understanding of all of the things I could possibly do. Understanding is what guides me to love. Because when I don't understand something, that tends to be when I typically fear it, or I challenge it, or I push it away, I resist it. But when I understand it, it no longer controls me in that way. And clarity, to be clear. So to be clear about all of the rest of this stuff. And to just sit in knowing and faith. And to have my will, and to command it, and to love unconditionally through all of this. And this is how to imitate God. This is how I'm imitating God. This is how I want to imitate God. This is the truth that I can see right now. I just had a conversation with my friend that helped me get a little bit more clear on the hope and faith thing. I think that hope and faith are actually interconnected. They really play off of each other. She actually mentioned having hope in a very particular way about a situation in her life. And I was inspired then to think, this thought came, that perhaps God hopes to meet us again one day in the Garden of Eden, as the Garden of Eden, and has faith that it will be done. So there's this hoping element that is a hoping for the experience and having faith that this experience will be done. So it's almost like hope is the dream, and then you have the faith that's the knowing. So I have hope and faith. It's not necessarily I have hope, but I have faith. There's this thing out there, I guess, that says if you use but, anything before the but is actually not true. And that I find that to be really helpful when I'm talking about certain things, like I want to do this, but I can't. Those are like, it's an excuse type of thing. And that's not what I'm talking about here, which is why I'm using the word and. So I have hope, or I hope that this experience will take place. And I have faith that it will be done. So it's a very subtle difference of like the dream and then the willing, or having the dream and then the commanding. And this has a lot to do with adaptability, actually. All of my conversations, I really think, have to do with this concept of adaptability and being able to switch thought processes and to be able to see and to be able to ride that wave of lightness and the wave of darkness and the acceptance. This is the unconditional love part that comes, that is formed from adaptability. The unconditional love being this container which has the space for all. At the round table, every feeling imaginable is felt by God, therefore has an equal place at the round table to be heard and felt and accepted. And so being able to adapt from one situation to the next. Adaptability and God then, in my questioning here, which is, what is this difference between hope and faith? And is there a difference? And then figuring it out and just like being adaptable as I make those questions, as things come into my life that help me see the difference. Being adaptable to those things, to those feelings, to that flow. I hope and I have faith. I hope that I will experience this thing, and I have faith that it will be done. I hope that my dream will be done. No. I hope, which is my dream, and I have faith, which is my knowing. And somehow will and commanding and understanding and clarity all fit in there. But that's what I've got for now.